This is the planning spreadsheet I've told some of you about for our rolling science schedule that I think will make it a little easier to keep track of lessons. So if you're interested, just keep hanging on there. What you can do is you can enter your schedule and color code as you like, or I can probably do that for you. There's a lot of settings, like how big the fields are, where they are, etc., that you can control. So first we'll go through how to change the fields. Then I'll go through how to change the appearance of the form itself, how to navigate between lessons, how to edit the plan. There's some neat copying and pasting features, how to generate a report that's printable that you could potentially look at. And there's a few initial things you have to do to set it up the first time. Again, you only have to do this if you want to, but I had a lot of fun making it, so now I'm having some fun sharing it. This is a VBA file with Excel, and I'll get into what that means to get the code to run. But essentially, here's the calendar for the whole year. Horizontally is the day, including the letter day. Vertically is the periods. You can see how the lab schedule lays out. You can have up to 10 fields. Here's just a few to show you. And I will walk you through how to do a number of things. You can see you can type in the fields. I know this is very interesting. You've got title, plan, but you can name these to whatever you want. You can change these heights, these colors. You can change the order. You can have more or less. The way to do that is to go to the Schedules tab or to click on Setting. If you click Settings or you go directly to the Settings, the Schedules tab rather, you can see these fields. 1 through 10, but you can order them in any sequence you want. If you make this a 0, that's going to hide it. If you change these numbers, that will change the height that it shows on the form. You can also change what those fields are called. So instead of your field 5, if you wanted to, sorry about that. So I could say change this field 5 to like cooler name. So now when I go back to the planner sheet, and it takes a second when you change it to any changes in that, will take a few seconds to update this. That's a one-time thing. So now when we load this, if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fields down, see it has cooler name, shows that. Again, let's just go to settings, fine. Maybe I only want this to be 40 tall. 40, I don't know, 60. Go back here, that'll take a second to update again. Now when I actually load the program, you see they changed the heights. The way you change the colors of these fields, if you want, and I'm not going to do it right now, but if you click on these cells and then you just change the font color or the background color, that will propagate to here. Similarly, while we're on that page, on the schedules, if you change this, that'll change the colors for that particular class over here. If you're having trouble reading the text in the text boxes, over here is the font size. You can also change the width of this form on the screen to match your screen, because it may be a little big or small on your form, or on your monitor rather. And that's taken care of with this number over here where you see 700. Same thing for the height. If it's still either a little big or a little small, you can change this zoom. So if I made that 100 instead of 150, and I'm going to go back over here, let it do its update thing. Now when I close this and I click on a cell and I reload it, it will be much smaller. So let's go make that bigger again. Back to 150. So those are the two ways you can change the way it looks, the zoom and the font size. You can also add a little bit of vertical space between the fields if you like the way that looks better. Now when it loads, you get this little bit of vertical space. You can actually change the font. Right now I'm using Comic Sans just because. Basically on this planner sheet, whatever font this is, that will be the font that's on the form. So if you've got, say, a thing for Times New Roman or something, or Arial, whatever it may be, now when you load the form again, that will be the font that's on there. back to Comic Sans. Now, in terms of navigating from day to day, the way I really intended this was that you would have this window off on the right somewhere. And here, if I just go left, right to go day to day, up or down, that changes the period. You can see the color on the form matches the color you chose for the class. There's also a neat feature where you can just hit next lesson and it goes to the next lesson, whether it is a lab in another period or the same. You can similarly click on go to today and it will just take you to the lesson in that class for that period. Editing the lesson plan is as simple as typing. That's fair enough. Notice when you do that, you get this sort of slashed area so you can see which ones you've written something for. I can actually copy this lesson. So if I hit copy, and if I go to another lesson, I can mouse over this and that will give me what I copied from just that field, and that will paste just that field, or I can paste the entire thing. So that's handy. Similarly, I can delete at an individual level, or I can delete the entire lesson for the day. Little thing I like, I can type in here, and the next field I go to, if I double click, it will paste what was just in the text box that I was in. So that's handy for some people like to keep track of what they thought they were going to do versus what they actually do. But that works like so. Now, if you want to generate a printable report, here's what you do. You have to highlight the cells over here on the left, and any of those cells which represent a lesson that are included will be included in the report. Then you click Generate Report, hit OK, and that will have just those cells. You can right-click and hide some of these columns if you don't like them. The order of these columns, these lessons fields, is the same as the order you have them on the form. Similarly, if you make the order 0, it will hide them. There is another field here for report column width. The bigger that number, the wider they are on this, this report. When that report is generated, there are these auto filter arrows, so you can look at just a certain period, just a certain lesson, non-blank ones. It's a very useful feature of Excel. Okay, so a feature of Excel is this VBA, the code that makes this work. But if you go to email this file, it usually gets stripped from the email. So I'll give this to you via a link where you can download it maybe in OneDrive. What you have to do the first time you open this is you have to go to File, Options, and this is just a one-time thing that you do, and you have to go to the Trust Center settings rather. This message bar, you want to have the Show Message Bar in Applications. That'll be a button at the top when the file opens. You'll enable it, similar to some other Word files you may know. The other place you have to go is in Macro Settings and change this to Disable VBA Macros with Notification. This way, when you open the file, you'll be able to have it work. If you don't do that, it won't work. Just see me if you have any questions. So I hope you find this useful as I have. I've found it very helpful so far. And yeah, cool.